trying to get used to using my voice again, and I'm immediately already like, my throat hurts. We're doing something a little bit different today. Instead of doing a Forget Me Not page, because I've been working on Forget Me Not pages literally all day, we're gonna do something else. I have Toon Boom Studio. Unfortunately, it's just a trial version at the moment, but I have Toon Boom Studio, and I have this massive project that I've been working on for a while now. And I thought, you know what? Let's just do this instead, you know? let's just sit down and animate instead of doing like more Forget Me Not pages, because I do Forget Me Not pages every week, and while I love doing that, and I think it's a really cool like insight into what it's like to draw comics and stuff, like god damn it, I really miss animating like a lot. It feels so good to be animating again. Like, it's been such a long time. I hardly ever have time to do anything that's not Forget Me Not related, just because of how demanding Forget Me Not is, how demanding my day job is and stuff, but man, it feels nice to be back. There we go. Bro, I've had such like an interesting week. If you don't follow me on Twitter, I have COVID. Well, had potentially, I don't know, tomorrow is supposed to be the day that I'm allowed like out and back into society, but I have to like take a test first, so maybe I'm good to go. I still have a cough, so I don't know if my manager will even let me come back to work if I still have a cough, but we'll see. We'll find out. But yeah, it's been so strange. I had like maybe 3 days, not in a row, mind you, but I had 3 days where I felt really, really sick. I was just completely out of it. And then most of the time it's been like, oh, I'm fine. I'm just really tired, you know? I'm just tired. I'm just exhausted. But yeah, like it's strange. It's strange. I'm getting really keen. I think this year is gonna be, I think I've mentioned it in a previous stream, but I don't want to label like any years as like, this is the year of Forget Me Not, or like this is the year of this and this is the year of that, but I just want like each year to be progressively better than the last in terms of Forget Me Not growing as like a graphic novel, as like a series. And I have a feeling that it's gonna be good. It might not be. I could be completely wrong. But, you know, we're only in February. I'm allowed to have hope that this is gonna be a good year for my series. I do plan on doing some prequel stuff anyway, though. Because, there's a character that you don't really get to know much of. And if people who have read the comic already, or like are reading the comic actively, I hear them, they would know. This program, this is Toon Boom Harmony. Whoops. But yeah, there's like one character in the webcomic that like dies literally on page 1. Like literally on page 1, and the source of pretty much all of Caden's trauma comes from that, like the fact that she died on page 1. And I do plan on doing some prequel content, just because, like, even though that character died on literally the first page and you only learn about her from what Caden says, she actually does have a personality. She actually does have, like, goals and ambitions. Like, she is a written character. She wasn't literally just there for Caden's trauma. Like, there's an actual character there. It's just, you won't get to see it until I decide to make the prequel to the comics, and I have no idea when that's gonna be, because I'm working on the sequel right now, and it's like, oh, it'd feel a bit weird to work on the sequel and the prequel at the same time, but yeah, no, I wanted to talk about something, because I'm seeing it a lot in... Are you gonna interrupt me again, baby? He's, like, really, really high up on a curtain. Hang on. Why did you pick now of all times to have the zoomies, my love? But yeah, there's something that I've noticed a lot online recently, and like in communities that I'm part of and stuff. And I mentioned it on Twitter. I like hinted at it. No, I didn't really hint at it. I directly stated it on Twitter. And that was about like the whole concept of criticism, and like taking and giving criticism as an artist and as a fellow creative. And I wanted to bring it up because there's a lot of communities that I'm part of where recently, very, very recently, they've just hands down gone into like a critique free zone, if that makes sense. Or another thing that I've seen is like you can't just critique artwork when they post it. You can only critique their work if they post it in the critiques chat. And sure, some artists might agree that that's a cool thing to do. Some artists might think, oh wow, that's like amazing, now there's no unwarranted criticism or anything like that, and blah blah blah. I think it's really stupid. I think it's genuinely dumb. And I just want to preface by saying that I'm specifically talking to artists that want to be professionals. I'm strictly talking about artists that want their work to, like, they want to make an animation, or like they want to work in an animation studio, or they want to take commissions, or they want to like be a character designer or a concept artist and stuff like that. If you want art to be like your profession, then being in these like criticism free zones is stupid. It's just outright stupid, because criticism and critique is how you grow. It's how you develop. It's like, it's a crucial part of being an artist, in my opinion, at least. And if you're not allowing people to look at your work and tell you what's wrong with it, if you're not willing to have people look at your work and say, oh, this looks a little bit off, you should try this, or have you considered this shading style, or this, that, and the other, then you're hindering yourself. You are slowing down your own progress by not being able to listen to others. And again, if you just want to draw or animate or whatever for fun, and this isn't a career for you, it's just something that you want to do for funsies, it's just a little hobby on the side, I'm not talking to you. You're fine. You do whatever you want, okay? It's just a little bit of fun for you. You're not taking it seriously or anything like that. Like, if that's what you want and that's what's making you happy, then you don't need to listen to criticism, because the only person you're making artwork for is yourself. Unless you're posting online. If you're posting your work online, then you're in the same boat as the people that want to be the professionals, and you should expect criticism, because you're literally putting it out there for people to see and for people to give their opinions on. So, if you're doing it for fun, if you're doing it just for yourself, and you're not, like, it's literally just for you, you're not posting it anywhere, or like you're not putting it on like a public platform, it's just a really closed, like enclosed area designed for this kind of stuff, then you're fine. I'm not talking to you. But yeah, I've seen it recently, and I wanted to talk about it because there's quite a few people that I know who want to pursue this stuff professionally, who want to like be seen, have their stuff noticed, and the stuff is good. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure someone who has a similar style to them would be able to critique it. I wouldn't, because they're like into the more semi-realism type stuff that I don't do. The stuff is good, but like very recently, one by one, these people that like have told me that they want to do this professionally, have told me that they want to do it as like as a career, or they want to contribute to something, one by one they're slowly going into like a critique not wanted phase. And there are several like chat rooms and like Discord servers and stuff that I'm a part of where now it's just like you can't post critique. You literally can't. It's either you can't, or you can't unless it's in the criticism wanted like chat. Um, which, I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid because these people want to do it professionally, but they don't seem to understand that being told that your artwork looks wrong and how to fix it is part of the professional process. It's I don't get it. I literally don't. I've seen friends who have literally gone on massive rants and tirades about how people on the internet are cruel and how, like, they don't, like, understand. They just want to post their art and have fun. But, like, these are the same people that want to do it professionally. It's like, well, do you want to do it for fun or do you want to do it professionally? Pick one. Like, I understand there are professional artists that do recreational art. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who don't want their artwork to be critiqued in any way whatsoever, but they're expecting, like, to get a job for it someday. They're expecting to be able to pay their bills with their art someday. And some of them probably already could. That's the sad thing. Some of them probably already could do that. But, like, one by one, they're all shutting down. They're all being like, I'm not posting my art anymore, or I'm just gonna continue to work and develop on my own thing privately. And, like, there's nothing wrong with that, but by closing off all these people that want to critique you, you're only making it harder for yourself, because other people can see things in your work that you don't see. And a really good example of this is actually me. When I published my book and I did pre-order rounds, my family got copies, obviously. And my sister, one of the very first things my sister said to me, let me see if I can find it. It was on Discord. One of the very first things my sister did was tell me that she didn't like the look of the main character's face because it was too pointy. And I asked her, I was like, what do you mean it's too pointy? What do you mean? What's going on? And so she took a photo of the front cover of my book and literally drew circles around every single straight line that I've used to, like, compile, like, to draw his face. I found the photo. Hang on. See, this is what she sent me. She sent me a picture of my graphic novel's front cover, and every time there was a straight line in the character's design, she circled it. And she actually missed a couple. She missed this one up here, she missed this one here, these two over here, this one up here. The neck obviously doesn't count because it's a neck, but you get the idea. She didn't like the fact that there was so many pointed, like, edges on my character's design. And I was like, okay, you know what, fair. People tend to have their own opinions when it comes to an art style. The thing is, like, you have to be able to pick apart the good criticism from the bad criticism. And the people that want to be professional artists but are going into this, like, critique not wanted zone, this might come across as harsh, but I feel like they're doing that because they don't know how to pick apart genuine critique from just, oh, your art's bad. You know what I mean? Or, like, just people expressing how they personally feel about their artwork. Because art is subjective. Not every single piece of advice that someone gives you about your artwork is going to be good for your art style. Because of how subjective everything is. Yeah, the kinds of artists who don't want to see their mistakes or opinions from other people. Yeah, exactly. That's what I think. Some of them are just genuinely arrogant. And I think it's really, really funny that they're sitting here, they're like, oh, I don't want criticism, the internet is way too mean to me about my artwork, so I'm just gonna go into my little hidey hole. It's like, one, art is subjective, everyone has different opinions. Two, you started posting online in the first place, so it's kind of, it sounds a bit mean, but it's on you. Like, the comments that you're getting, and, like, you should have expected that when you post online, because people aren't afraid to speak their minds. And it's just, it's really, really sad. It's sad, and in some cases it's funny. I'm not even gonna lie. In some cases, I find it absolutely fucking hilarious that these people are like, oh, the internet is so mean to me, and, like, all of these, like, hate comments and, like, this critique, and I don't like it, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, stop posting. Okay, don't actively focus on improving your artwork. Okay, don't do any of that. Just sit down and do it for fun. Just sit and do it for fun. There's nothing wrong with doing it for fun. Nothing at all. But don't come to me or to other people and say, I want to be a professional concept artist. I want to be a professional animator. I want to be a professional character designer. And then when I give you critique, or when someone else gives you critique on your artwork and how to improve, look at me and go, oh, you're just bullying me, or like, this is such bullshit, and like, this isn't what I wanted. And well, you want to be a professional, don't you? You need to learn how to take this kind of stuff, because when employers like ask you for something, and what are they supposed to say to you when you don't do the thing to their satisfaction? What are they supposed to say to you if they don't like the way you shaded it, or they don't like the proportions you gave the character? They're paying you to do it, so they're going to tell you that it's trash and that they don't like it and that you're going to have to do it again. That's just what's going to happen. That's just a part of being a professional artist. And if you can't handle it from a bunch of randos and strangers, then how are you supposed to take it from someone who's hiring you to draw something? You know? How are you supposed to take that? You can't take criticism and critique personally. Because and I think that's also where the problem lies. People take critique of their art as a critique of themselves. And that's not that's not how it is. And if there are people that are trying to tie critique of your art to a critique about you, then you need to learn to ignore those people. Because the critique that you get as an artist is not the critique of you as a person, unless, you know, you did something shitty. You have to deal with eventually you have to deal with rude people everywhere, not just on the internet. It boggles my mind. I realize I'm talking in circles here, and I'm just kind of rambling on and on in circles, but if you want to be a professional, you gotta take the hits. You gotta take the hits. And if you don't want to take the hits, you don't want to take the criticism, you don't want to do this, that, and the other, then either add about 5 years to your goal. Like, say you want to be a character designer by 2023, but you're not taking any criticism, any critique, any of that. At about 5 years, make that 2028, or just give up completely and keep art as your hobby. And it sounds really, really mean to say, but art can be very aggressive. Art can be very mean. The people who commission artists can be very, very mean because their money is going into it. You know, they're paying you to do a job. So if you don't do the job right, of course they're going to tell you didn't do the job right, because that's their money. They're paying for you. You can't just, you can't have someone throw $100 at you, tell you to draw a portrait of their dog, a realistic portrait of their dog. You can't have someone come to you with that specific request and then hand them a semi-realistic, semi-cartoony, exaggerated portrait of their pet. You can't do that. That's the wrong thing. Say for example, if you use the wrong shade of brown on their pet and you made their pet look too dark, or you made their pet look too light, they're gonna tell you that. And what are you gonna do? Sit there and cry about how the commissioner is bullying you and how this criticism isn't wanted and blah, blah, blah? No, you're gonna shut your mouth and you're gonna fix it. Because it makes me angry. It's making me really angry that, one by one, all of these art communities that I'm a part of are going into this, you can't just criticize people's work, or the whole, if they didn't post it in the criticism wanted section, then you shouldn't be allowed to give them criticism. There's one Discord server that I'm a part of. There's a few Discord servers that I'm a part of, but this one strikes me as interesting. There is an art channel, and you post your work in the art channel, and usually people will sit there and be like, oh yeah, it's cool, it's great, and blah blah blah, and on occasion you'll get someone say, oh, maybe you should try this, or hey, have you considered trying this thing, and blah blah blah. And it's really, really friendly. It's super friendly. It's like, oh, maybe try experimenting with this, or have you tried this, or this would look really cool in your style, maybe try this instead. And everyone was really, really polite about it, really friendly. It was a really, really cool community. It was really cool. And then I wake up one day, I hop into the server, and now all of a sudden, the rules have changed, and it's like, you are not allowed to critique, you are not allowed to give advice or anything in that chat. You're not allowed to. And if you do it, if you break those rules and you put that kind of criticism and that kind of commentary in that chat, then you're banned from the art channels. Why? The whole community in that chat was so friendly and so, like, polite about everything. And the critique that they gave, when they gave it, remember this, like, people weren't giving critique on every single piece that came out. It was like a rare thing. It was a rare thing for the chat to sit down and, like, give someone critique. But when it happened, it was super nice. It was super friendly. It was really, really nice to see these artists come together and, like, collectively give criticism and take criticism. It was really nice. And then out of nowhere, the person in charge is just like, nope, if you do that now, you are banned. You do it enough times, you are banned from the art chat. And it doesn't make sense. It would make sense if these were the kind of, if this chat was like the kind of chat where everyone was shitting on one another, and like they were constantly trying to be better than each other, or if the critique was always rude. Like, it would make sense if the chat was that kind of chat, but it wasn't. It really wasn't. Critique was rare, and when it did happen, it was super friendly, it was super polite, it was really, really helpful. Everyone would have a really great time, and like we would get to see whips and like continuations and stuff. And now all of that is gone because someone decided that they couldn't handle the potential of that conversation happening to them. Because that's what it was. They were like, oh, I'm going to make this separate chat then. So if you want criticism, you have to make a specific chat for it, which means that the conversation can't happen naturally anymore. Like, it would happen so naturally in the old chat. It's like, oh, okay, have you considered trying this? Maybe you should try this. But now it's like you kind of have to force the criticism out now because there's a specific place for it. And literally, the only reason this happened is because someone decided that they could not handle even the chance of the tiniest bit of unwarranted criticism. Even if it was friendly. Even if it came from this chat and it was super friendly, they couldn't handle it. And that's why they split the chat up. And that made me so angry. Because it's like, what's even the point? We had a really, really healthy, like, criticism. I don't want to say ecosystem. That doesn't make sense for what I'm trying to say. But we had a really, really healthy relationship with criticism in that chat. We had a really healthy... That was probably the healthiest criticism chat that I've ever seen in terms of how friendly it was. And, like, yeah, just stuff like that. It was probably the nicest place you could go for critique. And now it's gone. Because now if you want critique, you have to drag people away from that chat and into a separate chat for critique. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's stupid. And that's why I don't really post in a lot of, like, art servers or art chats anymore. Because it's like, if someone has a critique of my work, I want to hear it. I don't want to have to post in the criticism wanted, because putting it in, like, a section called criticism wanted, in my opinion, makes it feel like you're asking people to look for things wrong with the artwork. And that's not what you want to do. You don't want people to actively look and see what's wrong with it, unless they're, like, proofreading a webcomic or something like that, or they're, like, going through your animation frames or something. I'm just gonna have a sip of water. But yeah, you don't want people to actively look for what's wrong in your work. But if they find something wrong, if they see it, and they're like, this doesn't make much sense, then you want to be able to hear about it. You want to have that natural conversation. You don't want people to sit there and be like, okay, what's wrong with this piece? What do I think needs to be fixed about this piece? How can we fix this? Like, because that immediately destroys the atmosphere of what a good criticism conversation should be like, you know? I feel like I'm probably in the minority. I'm probably in the minority when I talk about this, and how having critique-free zones for professional artists, I have to specify, for professional artists, it's dumb. But yeah, if you're like, it's different for personal art and for like art that you do as like a job, I guess. Because like if you're doing the artwork as a job and like someone is paying you to do it, then yeah, I would say you do want people to look for the things wrong with it, because you want to give the client the best product you can. But yeah, there's a time and a place for critique, obviously. Obviously, there is a time and a place for critique. If it's like a really personal piece of artwork, or it's like, say for example, like someone important to you passed away. Let's use that as an example. Someone important to you passed away, and you made a personal piece of artwork to commemorate them by. Obviously, I can see why you wouldn't want that artwork critiqued. I get that. There is a time and a place for critique. I understand. But if you want to do this as a profession, you just have to take it. You have to take it. Everyone has an opinion. You just need to learn to differentiate between the ones that you value, the ones that like actually provide something good to the table that you can actually work with and grow from, and the ones that just kind of want to fuck with you, you know? And if you can't do that, and you think everyone who gives you a critique is out to get you, or that all of these critiques are wearing you down and you just don't want to deal with it anymore, then maybe this isn't the profession for you. Yeah, exactly. There are situations where critique is absolutely not something you should give. And I feel like art related to like family members, or like a really personal experience. Vent art is another example. You don't want to be the dickhead that goes ahead and critiques someone's vent art, you know what I mean? There's a time and a place. But if you are posting with the intent of becoming a professional, if you are posting with the intent of getting paid to do what you do, then you have to take it. You have to take it. Not for every artwork, obviously, but like, you need to learn to deal with the criticism, because if you don't, then you won't really be able to get anywhere. You won't be able to create that one masterpiece and get it right the first time every time, especially if someone's paying you. Because there's the other thing. People can be really vague and really obscure about what they want from an artist. And most of the time that's because they don't actually know what they want yet. Or they do know what they want and they don't really know the correct terminology for it. Or like there's a plethora of different reasons why someone would be vague, intentionally or unintentionally, when it comes to what they want from an artist. And so if someone says something to you and you interpret it one way, you go make the art piece, they say, no, this isn't what I wanted, and they explain to you what they really mean, or you have to figure out what it is they really mean. Like, how are you gonna handle that? Are you gonna get all butthurt because you put all the effort into the artwork and it wasn't what they wanted? Are you gonna like have a rant at them because they're just bullying you and being mean to you? No. You know, sit down and be like, okay, well, what don't you like about it? What do you want? Like, you sit down, you have that discussion, you figure out what it really is that your patron wants. It's just, I don't know. If you're just posting for fun, obviously, I've already said it like 50 times, this doesn't apply. If you're posting just for fun, you're just posting a bit of fan art, or you just want to do something super fun for yourself, then like, that's fine. You don't have to take people's criticism on board, but if you're posting online, you still need to learn how to deal with it, you know? If you don't know how to deal with it, then don't post. Just don't. And if you can't handle even really polite and friendly critique, like that one Discord server I mentioned, if you can't even handle that and you decide to segregate the entire, like, critique from the conversation altogether, then maybe you should really think about posting your artwork at all, you know? When people don't know what they want, it's so frustrating. I do audiovisual edition, and it's frustrating when people say surprise me and give you all the materials without knowing what they want. Yeah. yeah. Especially when people say surprise me. It's terrible. Because they have no idea what they want until you give them a product. And if you give them a product they don't like, then they're like, oh, that's not really what I want. If you don't know what you want and you just want the artist to make something good, or like make something that's more in their comfort zone, then tell them to just make whatever they would like. And I know for some artists that can be equally as frustrating when a person pays you and just says do what you like. But I've seen artists, and I've seen like usually commission artists. I see them and they get paid, and the patron literally tells them, I'm just paying you so that you can keep working on whatever you want. Like, I don't want a commission, I don't want an artwork, I'm just paying you so that you have time to do your own stuff. And some artists really, really appreciate that. But yeah, there's another artist named Twisted Disaster, and she wanted to do, like, updated reference sheets and like character sheets and stuff for the characters in her book, but she didn't have time. Well, sorry, she did have time, but like she didn't have the money to just sit around and do what she wanted, so she was taking a lot of commission work, which meant she didn't have the time either. And then a patron came to her one day, paid her, I don't know exactly how much, but quite a bit of money. And then when she asked the patron what they wanted, they turned to her and they said, oh, I'm just giving you this money so that you have the time to work on the reference sheets you wanted. Like, now you can pay for the things you need to pay for and you can still do the thing that you wanted to do. If you do stuff like that for an artist, then I guarantee you they will love it. Guarantee you they will love it, and they will have so much love and respect for you if you just pay them to do their own thing, if you don't know what you want and you just want to see more from this creator. But if you do kind of have something in mind and you want something kind of personal, then you need to go to an artist with something. They can't read your mind. They can't, like, if you say surprise me, or you say, oh, I don't really know what I'm looking for, guarantee you the artist is gonna make something that you're not happy with, because you do know what you want deep down. That's why you're commissioning them. You just don't know the specifics yet, and you really need to sit down with your patron, with your artist, and like really talk those things out. I've seen so many rants on like Instagram pages, Twitter pages, like even Facebook pages, where the artist has been like, oh, the critique and like the criticism and harassment. That's the other thing. They will lump criticism and harassment into the same thing, which, no. If you have more than half a brain cell, I'm sure you would agree with me. No, that's not how that works. But anyway, they're like, oh, I'm so tired of the criticism and the harassment that I'm getting. I'm just not gonna post here anymore, or I'm just gonna like private my account, and because of the harassment I get is too much, guys, because the critique that people give me it's not what I want to hear, so I'm just gonna block it all out, you know. And again, there are some critiques that you are gonna want to ignore. Everyone gets critiques that are not necessarily the best. You just need to learn to pick and choose which ones are the ones you want and which ones are the ones you don't. And again, I know I've already said this 7 times, but I need to stress this every single time. If art is your hobby, if you have no intention of taking art seriously, and like you don't want to do it professionally, you don't want to make a living off of it, you're just doing it for funsies, this does not apply to you. Okay? If you want a criticism-free zone to like post your artwork just for fun, then there are ways to do that. You can have comments turned off, although that does mean you won't get any praise, which, that's the other thing. People say they don't want critique, they don't want criticism, they don't want anything like that, but positive comments talking about how good the artwork is and how much they love your art piece and the particular parts of the artwork that they like, that's also critique. So you don't want to hear any of it. Except that's not what you're saying. You're saying that you don't want to hear the things that are wrong. You want the praise. You do. You want the praise, you want the attention. That's why you post the artwork. But you don't want the criticism. And that's the part that probably cuts me up the most. Is that they don't mean they don't want criticism. They mean they don't want the flaws in their artwork to be pointed out. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you want to be able to post your artwork without critiques, you can do that. You can turn comments off, but like just leave likes on so you can get that positive reinforcement that you want. You can private your account so that only people who follow you, like the people who actually want to see your artwork and follow you and like enjoy your artwork and don't really have anything bad to say about it ever, can follow you, and like only them. Although that is a bit of a risk because sometimes people will appreciate your artwork and still give you critique. It's called the compliment sandwich. It's the way most critiques are given. So that's a risk you're gonna have to take. Some of your followers might leave critique in your chat, like in your comments. You can find like a room just for hobbyists, like dedicated for hobbyists, and post it there. If it's a website like DeviantArt, just put, like, on DeviantArt you can choose the level of artists that you are. Just set your level to hobbyist, and then that usually gets people to leave you alone when it comes to critique. Like, there's a lot of ways you can create a critique-free zone, in your community if you're just a hobbyist. But, like, I don't know. It comes back to my argument of if you're posting on the internet, you should be ready for critique regardless, whether if you're a hobbyist or not. This whole rant came because I'm getting really, really heated at the fact that a lot of people that I see online, and some people that I know that want to be professionals, that have actively expressed that they want to be professionals, are going into this, like, critique-free zone. This is a very emotionally driven conversation. But then again, almost all of the conversations I have on my stream are emotionally driven, so if you don't like it, go somewhere else. And that's the thing, like, I'm not one who's, like, never ever had criticism ever. I already showed you the picture of my sister pointing out all the straight lines in my main character's face. I've been on stream before, and literally just had one person, like, come in, say the content was trash, and then leave. I've had a person come in, say that I talk too much, and then leave. I've had a person come in, say that furries are retarded, and then leave. And it's like, I feel like that is more in line. I'm not saying it is harassment. I'm not saying it is, because they're just stupid people making stupid comments. But I see people comparing, like, honest art critiques to harassment, and it's like, I'm pretty sure the comments that I get about talking too much and about how furries are gross and how they don't like my content, I'm pretty sure that's closer to harassment than someone saying, hey, this part of your artwork looks wonky. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the people who lump in critique with harassment have very, very cushy lives and don't actually know what harassment is. Because if an honest, genuine critique is considered harassment to you, then I have no idea how you would handle genuine harassment. Yeah, exactly. Making it super ultra mega friendly is only gonna make things more complicated in terms of the people that you get there. Like, there's also the risk that some people aren't gonna be as friendly, so it's like, what do you do then? What do you do if someone in your super hyper friendly, no critique one community just snaps and goes mad and starts critiquing people? What do you do then? Do you ban them to protect your stupid fucking echo chamber? Is that what you do? You just need to keep the positive reinforcement that is the echo chamber going, so if they gotta get banned, then they gotta get banned. That's so dumb. That's the other thing though, like sometimes the things that you work really hard on kind of need to be critiqued. Like the graphic novel, the one that Amazon keeps knocking back, the one that I literally just mentioned. I spent 3 years on that book. I spent 2 years scripting it, 2 whole years just writing the script, and then 1 year drawing out all the pages, and technically more than a year now because I've had to go back and edit them so many times for Amazon, but you know what I mean. 3 years on that book. But like, just because I spent 3 years on it, and because the events surrounding the creation of that book are very, very sensitive to me and very personal and very emotional, that doesn't mean I don't want people to critique the book. Bro, like I just said, it was a very, very personal story. Very, very important to me. It took 3 years of my life. I can look at it and say it's trash. In terms of comparing it to the work I can do now, like the pages that I'm making for the sequel, I've learned so much more about like just comics in general, and like layouts for a comic, and how to make a comic page more interesting, and adding more detail and stuff. And so the quality of the pages that I'm making for book 2 are better than book 1. Book 1 has a lot of visual flaws. Story-wise, I would say maybe. Although, I personally really enjoyed the story, so if people have critiques on the story, I'm more than happy to hear them. But, like, from a visual standpoint, the book leaves a lot to be desired. And I know that because I can look back on it now and see what I've done and like see how I've improved on that since that book, and I can say, yeah, you know, the story is great, the visuals I'm still like happy with, I'm still content with how it looks, but in terms of a professional comic book standard, it leaves a little bit to be desired. You think I'm gonna sit here and cry about how some fucking rando decided to critique my book, even though, like, it took me 3 years, and it's so personal, and this, that, and the other? No, you know why? Because it's a product. It's a product that people are paying for, and thus it deserves to be critiqued. It doesn't matter how personal the story is to me. It doesn't matter how many years of effort I put into that story. It is a product, it deserves to be critiqued, and if people don't like it, then people don't like it. It would be really nice if people did like it, and judging by like my social medias, people do like it, but like I'm not gonna sit here and fucking cry like a little bitch because someone decides that they don't like it, you know? It comes with being a professional. It comes with making a product that people will pay for. People are gonna give you their opinions. And if you can't take it, then don't. Just stop. Just stop doing what you do for money. That's it. I had an animation teacher. His name was Nick. And I remember sitting in class, and we were doing, I can't remember what we were doing. We were doing like a product, like one of our first animation exam things. And he walked over to the person sitting like across from me, and he said something he liked about the animation, and he moved forward. And then he went to the person on the other side across from me, like across behind me, and he said something about them that he really liked. He went to the person, like, not right next to me, but next to the person next to me, and gave them positive reinforcement. He went to the person right next to me and gave them positive reinforcement, you know, saying nice things, like, I like this, I like this, I like this. And then he got to me, and he didn't say anything nice about my animation. He didn't say anything nice about it. He looked at it, he was quiet for a little bit, and then he pointed out, I think, like 2 or 3 things that were wrong with it. He goes, you need to move this, you need to do this, you need to do this and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And there's context behind why he did it like that. I already had a lot of knowledge that the other students didn't have, And he thought it was because it was my second time doing the class, but it wasn't. I had just been studying animation personally, like, before I even went to his class. So I had a little bit of information that the other students didn't quite understand yet. And so, yeah, he didn't say anything nice about it. He only pointed out the flaws. And guess who came top of the class for that assignment? Me. I did. And then when I talked to him outside of class, he said that he knew that I could make something great. He knew that I could, like, step up to that. And I thanked him. I thanked him for only saying, like, I thanked him for pointing out the things that were wrong with my animation. I thanked him for pointing out all of the flaws, all of the things that were wrong with it, instead of just sitting there and being like, oh yeah, you're doing great, good job, like he did with everybody else. You know? Because that's how you grow, that's how you learn. And I think that's probably my favorite example from my life in terms of, like, how critique is good. Because, yeah, I didn't get any positive reinforcement. I only got critique from this teacher. And then, top of the class. It was a 92%. It is a great feeling. It is. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to accept positive reinforcement. That's not what I'm saying at all. But critique and having your flaws pointed out is how you reach your potential. That's just it. Facts with Sylv. Reach your potential by having people critique you. Alright, now I think I'm done with this conversation. Now I think I've fully exhausted the topic.